This video is an assignment for sociology class, Body and Society at San Diego State University. The purpose of this assignment is to help inform us on key issues related to sociology of the body. The positions being advocated may not necessarily reflect the opinions of the students developing this video.
Today, media has become a focal point of discussion and critique, particularly concerning race. The images and information with which we are presented often perpetuate racial stereotypes, which can be damaging to individuals from marginalized racial groups. Racial stereotypes exist for several reasons, often stemming from historical, social, and psychological factors. Race itself is a made-up concept that analyzes one's physical appearance as a way to categorize people into racial groups in order to establish a hierarchy. In the United States, dominant groups assert their superiority over marginalized ones. The concept of scientific race allows these distinctions to happen with the idea that white folks have physically larger brains, justifying their hierarchy. In the 19th century, Harvard's Louise Agassiz proposed polygenism, which claims that human races were distinct species. Pseudoscientific methods like craniometry supports this proposal by the measurement of human skulls, which supposedly proved that white people were biologically superior to black folks. The concept of race was then accepted. With the development of the Constitution, systems of oppression continued to overserve white folks while underserving people of color. These 6 systems include the criminal justice system, the education system, the healthcare system, the economic system, the housing system, and the political system. These systems of oppression intersect and reinforce each other, which perpetuates institutional racism. Systemic racism continues to exist as stereotypes and biases have developed to significant social and cultural influences which shape attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors related to race. As Hollywood began to develop motion pictures, visual representations of different races also began to develop. In Irving Goffman's dramaturgical model, it's relevant when thinking about racism and racial stereotypes in media. In this model, certain tropes or stereotypes can operate as organized frameworks that allow people to make sense of encounters, experiences, and the information with which they are presented in everyday life. Stereotypes in media can create expectations about how individuals should behave and conform to certain scripts and social interactions. People of color may feel pressure to conform to stereotypes or to resist and challenge them. Depending on the context and their personal beliefs, white people may perpetuate them through their interactions or by consciously or unconsciously internalizing and reinforcing them. Mainstream media plays a crucial role in shaping public perceptions and narratives about race. Minority groups are frequently misrepresented or underrepresented in news coverage, entertainment media, and advertising, perpetuating harmful narratives that contribute to racial inequality, discrimination, stigmatization, and the dehumanization of minorities.
Social institutions have been around since the start of time and started out as simple as a family tribe creating rules for their members. As societies became more complex, so did their institutions as they evolved from rules to government laws to economic power and currently intricate topics such as healthcare, universities, and media. The institutions are organizations that help shape our behavior and reach out to everyone. When we think of institutions, many people go right to large governing bodies such as government, education systems, and the economy. Yet, since the age when typewriters were invented and able to produce newspapers, media has become one of the most popular social institutions. As technology expanded, media added television, movies, and apps to the platforms and has been used for informing, entertaining, and advertising towards the public. Going from a huge change in a dramatic way, media became easily accessible and the easiest way for people to collect information. Overall, the media has the power to overwatch other institutions such as the government, politicians, education, and businesses because content could be created based on stories of them. Despite how convenient media is to consumer culture, there are chances of viewers seeing inaccurate information. Audience become derived after watching what they view, and studies show that media forms such as television affect people's views on society. One example is the fear of crime in the United States. Studies found that white citizens developed more of a fear of crime from watching television media, and another study found that black citizens were fearful from news outlets, crime dramas, and reality shows. After acknowledging how media content creates fear for people, we see how powerful it can be on perception society creates. Certain ethnic groups have been displayed in the media with negative perceptions. When we see how African Americans have been portrayed, they can be used in corruption and crime like content instead of a traditional look. One reason for this and why many communities are not portrayed properly in the media is because of how media practitioners can exclude these communities. When publishing content for society to see, producers should take precautions of educating themselves on a background before placing them under a stereotype that has been shown before. Consumer culture has an effect on how humans create themselves to view the world, and if producers educate themselves on certain ethnic groups, viewers can identify a more accurate representation of it.
The media holds much power today, shaping our perceptions and attitudes toward different racial and ethnic groups. But how do we see these many groups when stereotypes become harmful and damaging? Addressing these stereotypes, how they are made, and the impact on society is crucial. The media plays a significant role in changing the minds of the masses. While often seen as simple and harmless, these negative stereotypes are the underlying cause of many problems in the U.S. and the world. To understand the present, we must first see how these stereotypes were created and their historical moments brought these stereotypes to life. In a TED Talk by Riti Malhotra, she covers many different stereotypes that are popular in media, such as Dragon Lady, Sassy Black Woman, and White Male Savior narratives. While Riti mentioned the Sassy Black Woman, another stereotype of the Black community is the mammy. The mammy stereotype depicts a large Black woman who takes care of children, often described as loving their children more than the love for their own. This is the complete opposite of the stereotypically beautiful European white woman. The mammy being the complete opposite of the white woman shows white Americans that they are so non-threatening and different that there's no need to worry about the mammy ever affecting the family, as they are there to serve and help the family if anything that they need. Another negative stereotype is the overworked Asian. This stereotype is the Asian man who is praised for his fantastic work ethic, which sounds impressive until you realize that he is shown to have such a tremendous work ethic that he often ignores and even discards his family and social life to keep working. Another prevalent stereotype in many shows and movies is the depiction of Pacific Islanders. Pacific Islanders in TV are shown in two ways: either dumb, caveman-like people with no real goals, ambitions, or intelligence, or savage cannibals running through the jungle with no clothes on and a spear in hand. This depiction of Pacific Islanders shows islands as all the same, with no difference between each other, and as a bunch of people with nothing to do and to give the world, because they cannot produce the same amount of things as us or many other European nations. Cultural capital also plays a significant role in perpetuating racial stereotypes. Advertisements of them capitalize on these stereotypes to sell products. These advertisements feed the repertoires of knowledge a society has and shows them that this is the only way to view these groups of people and that all of them are the same and act the same. Cultural capital reinforces today's media's different power dynamics and hierarchies. Social capital is also a large player in this game because it shows that one skin color is more preferred and valuable than another. This is proven when you compare the different stereotypes of the average white American and comparing the images of the mammy to a typical white woman. You will see that they are complete opposites. When comparing the workaholic Asian to the average nuclear family, you'll see that the American man comes home, has a great social life, and gets along with everyone. In contrast, the Asian man is stuck working and working and working. Finally, to compare a Pacific Islander, these images become even more stark with the futuristic and modern American man, with a savage and only loincloth man running around the jungle with a spear, like in many depictions of Pacific Islanders in the media.
In a world full of racial stereotypes, it is important to understand the roots from which they derive. Many stereotypes that are common in today's world have origins in colonialism and imperialism, as they were used to justify the exploitation of indigenous peoples. Throughout European colonial expansion, there were a variety of stereotypes of indigenous peoples. Common examples were to label them as savages or primitive. These portrayals were not only inaccurate, but they were also used as tools of oppression, which shaped global power dynamics and helped justify colonial rule. These stereotypes often have widespread impact, and they affect the daily lives of targeted communities. From employment to education and day-to-day life, the prevalence of these stereotypes leads to discrimination and limited opportunities for ethnic groups. Media plays a significant role in either enabling or challenging these stereotypes. A severe lack of diversity in the media industry leads to tacit biases and the reinforcement of already existing stereotypes. For example, the underrepresentation of ethnic individuals in leadership and management roles within media organizations can result in misrepresented and stereotypical portrayals, which allows for the presence of harmful narratives and limits accurate representation. There are two main sociological concepts that help us further understand the presence of racial stereotypes within the media, which are cultural hegemony and symbolic violence. Cultural hegemony explains how dominant groups use media to impose cultural values and beliefs, a kind of domineering use of power. On the other hand, symbolic violence defines the ways in which symbolic entities enable power imbalances and discrimination. Both of these concepts reinforce the importance of critically analyzing media messages and simultaneously advocating for true and diverse representation in order to counteract these corrupt power dynamics. What can we do to resist and fight these racial stereotypes in the media? An effective strategy is to encourage media literacy and critical thinking towards reception of media. By giving ourselves the tools needed to learn how to properly analyze media messages, we can utilize newfound knowledge to become a more receptive audience, and therefore be better able to challenge harmful stereotypes. We invite you to challenge the status quo as we strive to advocate for better inclusivity, representation, and promotion of understanding and empathy towards marginalized groups. To do so properly, we must know specifically what kinds of stereotypes we are looking for.
Disney princesses remain a timeless representation of a girl's hopes and dreams, but the reality of the implications from the racial stereotypes they portray is much darker. Disney, like many other media industries, exploits the racial stereotypes and enables productions with designated characters to embody racial stereotypes. White princesses are depicted as more feminine compared to their other princesses, who are valued more for their effort, courage, and hard work in their journey. This is evident with Pocahontas, as she is shown to be more masculine and independent, which displays the Native American stereotypes that she is associated with and reinforces this attitude and behavior in society. Disney has profited the most from their iconic image of a feminine white princess. While Cinderella wears beautiful gowns and remains the perfect image of a princess, other princesses like Pocahontas are created to reflect their stereotype. Disney has deemed Cinderella the better and more pristine princess in doing this. While the diversity in characters is welcome and wanted, these characters still only exist to portray their reductive racial stereotypes. This is also evident with Princess Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, as she is reduced down to the stereotypes associated with African American women and serves to reinforce this attitude towards them. These images show the different stereotypes they portray and the value of each princess based on these stereotypes. Social media has become an integral part of society with its everyday use amongst the population. The racial stereotypes presented in social media have heavily influenced society as it reinforces the stereotypes as knowledge for an individual. The American police force's presence on social media has perpetuated racial stereotypes as their posts misrepresent the accurate number of Black suspects in arrests. The chart shows that the police Facebook posts of Black suspects was far greater than the actual number of Black suspects in all arrests. The American police force reinforced the stereotype that Black people are more likely to be violent and commit crimes, which emphasizes the racial bias from the police. Individuals trust the police as a source of information, which means that many people believe these racial stereotypes and begin to adjust their behaviors in accordance. With repeated posts featuring mainly Black people and overrepresenting them, it perpetuates the harmful attitude and stereotype. An individual's behavior is shaped from the experiences and knowledge they have with the media and can cause a shift in behavior towards the target of a racial stereotype.
In current films and shows, creators have been making more diverse cast selections, inclusive to all groups, rather than picking one race to have them play an archetype. By putting every ethnic group on the screen, it helps them be seen and viewers become more aware of the social norms the media puts into our brains. When we look at TV and film, if producers use the same race for similar roles, that becomes their personality on the screen and society. When producers do not show ethnic groups, viewers can receive the perception that their group does not matter. Next time you watch a movie or TV show, can you identify a stereotype that you have seen before? Has it changed in more current times with the media being more inclusive to different communities?